Let's now switch gears and take you to the States. Speak to a journalist there, BMJ Moreithi. Thanks for making time for us, BMJ, today. And tell us what kind of day you've had. I don't know whether you got a chance to vote, whether it's been about covering the election from the States.
Yeah, mainly Wahiga was covering the elections. I spent the whole day at the embassy on R Street here in Washington, D.C., the embassy of the Republic of Kenya, where many Kenyans, turned up. I know you already have those numbers. I could hear Sam there comparing to 2017. Unfortunately, we have nothing to compare here because, as you know, this is the first time that the Kenyans here are voting. And so probably just to say, I've been seeing a lot of chatter right now, so to speak, on social media, especially now that the numbers are out there, showing very clearly that most of the places that they voted here in Washington, D.C., in New York, and in Los Angeles, that looks like Azimio la Umoja, Kenya, carried the day. So there's a lot of that. But just to go back to your question, yes, there was a lot of activity in Washington. And what we are hearing is that the turnout, comparatively speaking, was pretty good compared to the many places that we are hearing about there in Kenya.
BMJ, since you covered it and I believe spoke to voters there and got a sense of why they turned up, what they are hoping for, what are the sentiments of those that you spoke to?
Mainly, Wahiga, it's about how difficult it is to even get to these polling stations here in the United States. And I think this has been prosecuted, many times about how vast, as you know, Wahiga and Sam and I'm sorry, the lady that you are with there, that in the United States is so vast, and therefore one of the main things that they talk about is how difficult it is and how they have to pay so much to just come and make their opinion known through the vote. That's one thing that many Kenyans here are saying, ones that were registered and had to travel, so far to make to vote.
Well, BMJ, a couple of surveys that were done here in the run-up to this election were posed in such a manner that Kenyans suggested the kind of issues that were on the table for them as they considered who they would vote for. And this is a question my colleague Victoria Rubadiri asked some of the other diaspora voters as well. What were some of the issues that those in the diaspora would consider priority as they thought through who they would want to vote for to be the next president of this country?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, Wahiga, because earlier today I was speaking to a lady she told me she's from Marsabit, and I asked her, so why is it important for you to cast your ballot here? Yet you know very well that you are only voting for the president. And, she said many of the challenges that she knows that her people are facing in Kenya could be sorted out through getting, the right leadership at the top. But mainly, as I think it was earlier today, because I was watching the gentleman that you spoke to in Canada, what he was saying about the Kenyans in the diaspora needing more representation, especially, of course, because of the financial muscle that they do have. Many people here in the diaspora say that the reason, eventually, if they will be able to vote for even the other positions, the main reason is because they feel that they contribute so much and they need, their voices to be heard, not just through the vote, but also representation in parliament and in other areas of leadership in the country.
For Kenyans living in the U.S. to feel that they are included in the democratic process here, in your estimation, how many polling locations around the country do you think you would need safely to say that you've covered a greater part of the wider U.S.? Just help us think through that.
Another very good question, because I posed that same question to the ambassador, the Kenyan ambassador here in Washington, Lazara Zamayo, earlier today. And he said, first of all, at least they will need about 10 consulates, if not embassies, here in the United States, mainly because of the vastness, as I said. And they mentioned that, one of the places that needs a consulate like tomorrow, like yesterday, would be in Texas, someplace, one of the cities in Texas, because of the number of Kenyans, the sheer number of Kenyans that live there. So that is according to the ambassador. But speaking to the people, obviously, most of the Kenyans that would be in, where the cities that have big numbers of them, would say that they deserve to have a place. And as things stand now, of course, where you have to vote, you would vote is either a consulate or an embassy. And therefore, I think in my estimate, it would be about 10.
So we have three, three now, another 7 or so.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Oh my, okay.
Yeah, and just to add on to what the gentleman, I think I was not on this show, but someone was mentioning to me earlier today how big the United States is. It's like traveling. Sometimes some places here would be like traveling from Kenya to Europe. Just the time it takes to just fly around, and just that in itself. I spoke to people that I used to live with in Atlanta today, and they were telling me you don't spend anything less than $1,000 to just come over, whether you're flying or you are driving. At least $1,000 to get here and get back. Now, there are people who have said that, this vote, that in the diaspora vote is mainly just a symbolic thing. But those that I spoke to, and there were quite a number, in comparing them to the number that had registered, they feel that it's very important for them to make this point, that even though they know their vote might not count a whole lot, especially when it comes to those other elective positions, that they needed to make their point.
Thanks, BMJ. Vicky?
Yeah, really quickly, BMJ. This is the lady in the studio, Victoria. A quick question on, because you mentioned the diaspora vote moving from being symbolic to now leveraging on it as a serious constituency. We were speaking to a professor a bit earlier on, and he kind of gave the numbers in the region between 100,000 to 500,000 within Kenya, to where in successive elections, we can begin to leverage on the numbers within, beyond the financial muscle that diaspora is known for. How do they become a contender numbers-wise?
Now, that's Vicky, and actually, just your name skipped me when I was speaking earlier, and I know you have lived here, so you have, I think you have an idea of what I'm about to tell you, that it's not very easy. We are now talking about the diaspora in general, not just in the United States. It's not very easy to really know the exact number of Kenyans that are around the world. And mainly, one of the reasons, as it was mentioned earlier, was that not many of them really want to come out for one reason or the other. And therefore, we can talk about leveraging on the numbers, but until we know for a fact how many of us are out here, it will be very difficult. And even just to look at the number of people that were registered here in Washington, D.C., for instance, 344. And clearly, at least there are over 100,000 Kenyans here. And, they don't ask for so many documents to register to vote as a Kenyan. So that would be a difficult one to answer right now, Vicky, but maybe in the future when we get proper data, maybe we can then talk about it.
BMJ, thank you so much, and looking forward to speaking with you later on, maybe not today, but in the days to come, even as I know you follow closely Kenyan matters as a veteran journalist based in the United States. Thank you so much for finding time for us today. I don't know, what time is it where you're in DC, right?
Yep. This is now 10:17 precisely in the evening. I actually just came back from the embassy about 4 or 5 hours ago when they closed the polling station there.
Well, I think it's only appropriate to say enjoy the rest of your evening. And thanks so much for tuning in.
But Wahiga, you should give me an opportunity at least to say hi to BMJ.
Oh, please. The floor is open.
Just like, BMJ, good evening. He was very helpful.
Okay, Sam, good job. You guys are doing a very good job, and we are following, not just here in D.C. Everybody, as I was saying, actually, most Kenyans are getting a lot of, the details that you are churning out there. They are getting them, directly from your website, the Citizen TV. So you are doing a good job.
Thank you so much. Wahiga, he was very helpful in 2016 when I went to cover the U.S. election at that time, himself and Esther Githui.
Okay.
At the Voice of America. So thank you so much, BMJ. And it's good to see you again. Now, you had said that we have not looked at the Lower Eastern region, which I want us to spend some time, because also